Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson and in this video we are going to be starting our look through of the art of Wolfenstein The New Order. So Wolfenstein The New Order is one of my favorite recent FPS games, and I know it was released almost a decade ago, or a little over a decade ago, but still to me I only actually played it about 3 years ago. So I absolutely love the New Order. Not the biggest fan of New Colossus. It's okay, but the New Order is fantastic. Now, there's just two things I want to quickly say before we get into this book. The first is, if you are unfamiliar with Wolfenstein, the series and especially this book, because I did have a quick little look through it before I decided to record, there is a lot of Nazi imagery in this book and in this series. That's what the Wolfenstein series is about. It's essentially killing Nazis. However, stuff like swastikas and all other kinds of Nazi symbols and apparel are very prevalent throughout this book. So if that is something that you are not comfortable with or do not like, I would maybe not watch this video. The second thing I want to say, and I really need to stress this, is if I am talking about how I like some of the art and designs in this book and in this game, I am in no way saying that I like or support anything to do with Nazis at all. Fascism is absolutely beyond evil, and like I said, I do not support Nazis in any way or agree with any of their views. So if I say something along the lines of, I really like the design of the Nazi armor in this game, I'm just talking about the art style that the game developers chose, not that I like the Nazis themselves. So I just want to say that. I know that kind of goes without saying, but I just wanted to kind of make that clear before we get in, because I do genuinely love the art style in this game. I won't spoil it too much right now, but it is quite cool. So let us get started. I'm not sure how many episodes this is going to be. I'm going to try and do it in a 3-parter just because this is a pretty sizable book. But yeah. So here we have the cover art of the New Order. So we have the standard Nazi soldier here with the helmet and the faceplate, along with 2 silhouettes of Nazis, or the Nazi armor. They have the red eyes. We are going to touch on the red eye bit in a little while once we get into their concept designs, because there is a very famous anime movie that I'm sure you guys already know what I'm talking about, that this game is very similar to in terms of the armor designs. And that's part of the reason why I like the armor designs so much in this game. So we have a double spread of the art of Wolfenstein The New Order with the fully rendered Nazi soldier here, as well as the silhouettes of all the Nazis. So here is one of the mechs that is holding up 2 prisoners. So we have all of our table of contents. So let us get started. So what Wolfenstein The New Order is, it is an alternate history scenario in which the Nazis won World War II and essentially invaded and defeated the United States and have since taken over the United States government. So as you can see here, the Nazis in this world have taken full control of the world. So we have a nuclear bomb going off in New York City, in this timeline, the Nazis developed the atom bomb first and used it on New York. This is a German astronaut planting the flag of the Third Reich and giving his salute. And then here is a scene of London of some people who don't look quite like actual Nazi soldiers, but maybe volunteers of the police force, as well as this massive mechanical soldier here, which looks really cool. You can see Big Ben in the background. But already, just based on this, you can kind of see of what we are going to be dealing with in terms of Nazi symbols and stuff. So, as always, I am going to be reading the text pertaining to the world and the game, but not so much of the developer notes. So, creating the world of a fictional future Nazi empire. Creating and visualizing a world overrun by technologically superior, super evil, robot-loving, megalomaniacal, laser weapon-wielding, nuclear-power-driven Nazis has been a thrilling journey. We grew up with the original game, so to be given the opportunity and the honor to create the next entry in that legacy and to do our own unique take on the franchise has been a challenging but extremely rewarding task. We wanted to honor the history of the original and new games that have come after when we created Wolfentsein: The New Order. However, we also wanted to seize the opportunity to take the franchise in a totally new direction by setting it in the 1960s. Not the 1960s of our world, but an alternate 1960s where the Nazis won and gained and giant robots and laser technology are integrated into everyday life. A world dominated by the swastika. Well, the last remnants of resistance fighters have been crushed and brutally oppressed. And a brutally oppressive concrete skyline leaves no space for free thinkers. So, it also says the design elements resulted in a vast palette of fantastic ideas and endless possibilities for creating unique machinery, grim characters, and designs to speak to the industrial evil and cruelty of the Nazi Empire. The world of Wolfenstein: The New Order mixes contemporary design, dark science fiction, the grounded and clunky technology of World War II, and the stuff of nightmares infused with Wolfenstein steel. Combining all of these elements was a delicate balance to achieve in the final game, but we had a great time creating and designing this expansive, dark world and its inhabitants. We hope you will have a great experience exploring and playing in the world of Wolfenstein: The New Order, and that it will be an experience that will stay with you as long as a player long after you finish the game. So, as you can tell by this excerpt here, Wolfenstein in and of itself does not glorify Nazis at all. It is very clear that Nazis are evil, and if you have played the game, you know that the sheer brutality that our main protagonist inflicts on Nazis just goes to prove this point. So, let us continue. Also, I apologize if you can hear my cat in the background. She has decided to start singing, so I'll try and edit that out in post. So here we have a couple of really cool pieces of concept art. I'm not sure if these are concept arts or just art itself. So here we have a man with a minigun, shooting a Nazi in the face point blank. We also have a Nazi running towards him, and I can only imagine the absolute terror in this man as he sees his friend being gunned down point blank by a minigun. This does not appear to be B.J. Blazkowicz. I believe this is just a prisoner based on his orange jumpsuit. Here we have a Nazi ceremony being held in Washington, D.C., as you can see, part of the Capitol building in the background. And there's all these lines of Nazis and the symbolism. You have the swastikas and the eagles and stuff. Here we have a picture of a mech grabbing a Nazi and assumably squeezing him to death as his comrades look on in terror. This guy here is actually firing his weapon, like, pointlessly at this giant mech. And here we have, I believe this actually is BJ, strangling a Nazi officer. And again, you can tell he's an officer based on his cap with the skull. By the way, his name is William Blazkowicz, but in the game he's called BJ Blazkowicz. So if you hear me say BJ, I'm talking about the character's name, and nothing else that those two letters might trigger in your imagination. So here we have our assault, which is the first mission of the game. So, as the player, you get to visit Death's Head Castle at different times during the game. The challenge with making the environment for these maps was to blend an old medieval-style castle and a new modernized architecture. Old medieval stone meets minimalist functionality and concrete. So this is Castle Wolfentsein, which is where the series gets its name from. This is some of the interior of it. So this is our first mission. So this mission takes place during World War II. I believe it is 1943 in this. I could be wrong about this. But BJ and his friend Fergus and a couple other soldiers, including a new rookie, are flying towards the Death's Head compound. Death's Head is the main antagonist for this game, or one of the main antagonists for this game. He is a extreme mad Nazi scientist who is responsible for creating all sorts of Nazi weaponry, technology, and everything. And he is pure evil and an absolute sadist. So our mission here is to infiltrate his compound and kill him. So this is some of what we go through. So our aerial assault does not go as planned. We get shot down, and us and our surviving members of our squad make our way through on ground to enter his compound. So we fight our way through some Nazi trenches. Again, this is still based in the timeline accurate to World War II. So the soldiers, both on our side and the Nazi side, have relatively realistic armor for the time period, and the weapons are very realistic for the time period. These two soldiers here have a bit more technology. As you can see, this guy has some kind of electrical backpack. So while most of the Nazis in this part of the game are kind of period accurate, they still show that they are extremely technologically advanced due to Death's Head. We also see a giant mech in the background. This is also a Nazi invention. So here is our protagonist, BJ Blazkowicz. So we have some different concept arts, him and his coat. His coat is really cool. It is almost as cool, if not cooler, than Leon's coat in Resident Evil 4. But here is a picture of him shirtless, and you can see that he is just an absolute slab of muscle. So BJ Blazkowicz, he is from the United States. He is 191 centimeters tall, and he is 49 at the start of the game, at least. So trained as a U.S. Army Ranger and then recruited into the OSA, BJ Blazkowicz has spent what to him feels like a lifetime fighting Nazis in the front lines. Often referred to as a one-man army, Captain Blazkowicz has been sending Nazis to their deaths for years, almost as if it is what he was born to do. In 1946, the tide of World War II turned drastically in the favor of the Nazi war machine. Despite Allied forces set out to stop the Nazis' monument with one last-ditch attempt, an assault on Death's Head compound, the operation went wildly awry, and Captain Blazkowicz ended up comatose after a traumatic injury, which he sustained to his head. He managed to survive, but lived as an empty shell of his former self in a mental asylum for 14 years until one fateful day in the year 1960. So here we have different pictures of BJ. This is him as he appears in the game. Here is BJ as he is shown in the original Wolfentsein games. And then here is his appearance in the newer games. I'm not sure what this appearance is. Maybe this is concept art from another game. I'm not quite sure. Now, one of the really cool things about BJ, which makes him a really great character for this game, is BJ is Jewish, or comes from a Jewish family. His mother was Jewish. But the ironic thing is, as you can see here, he almost looks like the perfect ideal for what a Nazi should look like. So that's part of the hypocrisy, is that this person who looks like the poster boy for what a Nazi should look like is actually or someone who's Jewish and is an absolute terror to the Nazis. Nazis are absolutely terrified of this man, and they have very good reason to be so. Next, we have Death's Head. So, General Wilhelm Death's Head Strass, I apologize, I am very bad at German names, a gifted researcher devoted to the Nazi agenda, is the head of the SS Special Projects Division. Utterly devoid of moral scruples, the general conducted experiments in new technology that gave the Nazi war machine the edge it needed to win the war and force the world into submission. During the war, Death's Head almost perished in a Zeppelin crash. This near-death experience gave him a fresh outlook on life and inspiration to create horrifying experiments, which is why he is extremely scarred in these pictures. So he is, while an SS officer, he is more of a doctor rather than a soldier. And he is the stereotypical example of the absolute monsters that the Nazi doctors and scientists were. So this is a really nice portrait of him here. You can see that he, is very old, decrepit looking, and covered in scars. So here are two characters. I'm going to read about them first, and then I will explain them. So Fergus, born and raised in the Scottish Highlands, Fergus Reid lived through a childhood defined by poverty and hardship. He developed a cynical outlook very early in life. Sarcasm became his tool for dealing with the cruelty of his fate. At age 16, Fergus found a job at the Glasgow shipyard, where he remained until the Depression of the 1930s hit Scotland, and found himself out of work. When war broke out, Fergus moved to Perth in central Scotland, where he trained as an aviation mechanic before an alcohol-induced bet got him promoted to airman. And then over here we have Probst Wyatt III. Wyatt III was pursuing a degree in international affairs at Harvard College when the war broke out. He decided to join the war effort much to his father's dismay, prompted by his moral conviction and unyielding idealism. Wyatt talked his way into the army at the age of 17. His father remained deeply disappointed in him. Though his bright-eyed naivete can be a burden at times, his positive outlook on life keeps him fighting to the right and wrongs of the world. So these two men are, they accompany us on our first mission. And at the end of the first mission, we are captured by Death's Head. And Death's Head essentially pins both of them to the ground with mechs and makes us choose who lives and who dies. So we have the choice of either saving Fergus or saving Wyatt. And whichever one you choose has a great impact on the story, as well as gaining access to a secondary character, not as important, but definitely interesting. So it's up to you who you really want to save. Do you want to save the grizzled, sarcastic veteran who is tough as nails, or do you want to save the bright-eyed, idealistic new recruit who has barely lived his life? You know, he's only 17, whereas Fergus is in his like 30s or something. I always go with Fergus just because I think he's the better character. And also, as someone who is half Scottish, I always resonate with him. So, yeah. I may be Irish, but I am half Scottish. So, quite the combination. Infantry. So, in early iterations, our 1940s enemy had a traditional look, but we wanted to give them more attitude with fictional and fantastical elements. We came up with this test the vibe and gave them sinister faces covered by masks. So this is some of the Nazi infantry that we fight at the start of the game. As you can see, it ranges from your standard Nazi that you would kind of expect to see in the 1940s to the more futuristic, advanced Nazis. Again, these are still in the 1940s, but due to Death's Head, like I mentioned earlier, they have extremely good technology. So here we have the Super Soldier, I believe that's just German for Super Soldier 46. The result of Death's Head's human experiments are tied to his desire to combine man and machine. The Super Soldier 46 is an early attempt by Death's Head to create a super soldier using dead soldiers and modern robotic technology. So these are dead Nazis that have been essentially brought back to life or reanimated to become these monstrosities in power armor. So you can see some of the armor here, which is really, really cool. And this is the face behind the mask, as you can see. It is dead, covered in scars, and looks like Frankenstein's monster. I do like how this super soldier variant is very reminiscent. It looks like a super soldier design from the 1940s, which I think is cool. We will see some more super soldiers later. Also, I know they're called super soldaten, but I'm just calling them super soldiers because it's just easier for my, plebeian, English-speaking mind. So yeah, we also have the SS logo on them as well. Here are some of the schematics to do with the creation of the super soldiers. Not going to spend too much detail on them, but this just goes into the parts and how, here's like your standard man and then the armor that they are in. This is them with their full in armor and in full color with their faceplate. Their faceplate is very reminiscent of like a grimdark knight's armor. You can also see that they have these, what would you call it? Spikes or metal implants on their hands. Here we have a double spread of one of the mechanical dog type enemies, again created by Dr. Deathshead. So these guys are essentially four-legged robotic dog-esque creatures with these massive jaws. They are extremely difficult. They are called Panzerhunds, which is a giant robotic hound made out of steel. So yeah, these guys are incredibly dangerous if they get up close to you. So it's always good to try and take these guys out as soon as possible. Next, we just have some various information on some of the robots. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. So here are some more iterations and concept art of the Panzerhunds. It says, the robot and robotic technology in Wolfentsein, the New Order, were elements we know we wanted early in the game development and experimented with various designs. The Wolfenstein Nazis rely a great deal on developing newer and more sinister war machinery. Death's Head relentless curiosity about combining machine and modern technology with organic tissue is not limited to the human form alone. Man's best friend has been a subject for his enhancement process, as well as the Kampferhand model series. So these are actual dogs. These are German Shepherds that have almost become cyborgs or cybernetically augmented, so I cannot imagine the agony that those poor animals are in. Here are some of the weapons. So the weapons in the Wolfenstein games are some of the best weapons, and they all serve different variations. So this is the MG46. This is a heavy machine gun which we pick up and use as a turret. This is our French knife, which we use quite a bit. I always play this game in full stealth, so the knife is a good friend of mine. Here we have a 3D model. I believe these two are meant to be variations of the STG, which is a real weapon used by the Germans. Here looks like a variation of the Thompson gun. Here is some art of the German grenades, and this is some of the Mauser concept art. So here we have a more sleek metallic Mauser, whereas this is the more classic Mauser, but with a silencer. Again, if you're like me and play this game in full stealth, this gun is your best friend. So here we have various portraits of different Nazis and different characters. So this looks like a naval officer Nazi. This guy here just looks like your common commander. Another SS, maybe lieutenant or something. I'm not sure what this guy is supposed to be. I can't tell if he's supposed to be like a soldier or just someone who enjoys the Nazi regime. And then here we have three more depictions of Nazi officers. So this guy here has a monocle. This guy has some little red bits, which actually do look really cool, and also his spectacles. And then this older gentleman here with a very stern face and also some specs. And then here again is Death's Head in his uniform. So here is another Nazi officer. I believe he is actually featured in the game, though I cannot quite remember. But yeah, very cool design. He has this very slim mustache. And then here we just have a bunch of the different props that we come across in the game. There are lots of ammo crates or crates like this that have stuff like ammo and armor and health. Wolfenstein is technically a boomer shooter-esque, so you have your ammo, you have your health, and you have your armor. Here are some more depictions of just some of the environments. And then this is some of the propaganda graphics. So it says, an important part of the Wolfentsein world is the period decals and signs. All of these were designed to sell the world and emphasize that it's built on control, surveillance, and industrial strength. So art of level 2. So a mental asylum in the middle of Poland was a key setting for the game. The exterior of the facility focused on raw and untouchable nature of the environment, and the asylum interior was designed to look and feel like an old asylum in the countryside. Various concept art was done for this setting. Vistas overlooking the natural scenery, illustrations that focused primarily on lighting, and a disturbing set of interiors shown the before and after of the massacre. So this is the mental asylum in Poland, where BJ has been recovering for 14 years. And we'll get into it if it covers it in the next photo. So, essentially what happens is BJ finally comes to. He's been in a vegetative state, and he comes to right as Nazis raid the facility and start executing both the patients and the nurses. And BJ instantly gets back into action and starts slaughtering the Nazis. So here is Anya Olawa, I believe I'm saying that correctly. So she is a 37-year-old female from Poland, also Jewish. Born to Polish doctors and intellectuals, Anya Olawa was focused on her doctorate in archaeology. However, the war forced Anya to abandon her academic pursuits and step in to help with her family business of mental asylum administration. Anya serves as a head nurse and a caretaker of the afflicted, including an unidentified soldier who was found badly injured and picked up at sea by fishing boat. This soldier is BJ Blazkowicz. Anya and her parents do what they can to treat their patients. They're frequently visited by armed Nazi officers who show up without notice and take patients away in shackles. In the year 1960, the Nazis make a final visit to shut the asylum down and purge the place of its patients. So Anya was the primary caretaker of BJ, and during his time, BJ fell in love with Anya, and eventually the two end up in a romantic relationship and eventually get married, which is very nice. What I really like about the Wolfenstein series is, as much as it is just carnage and killing Nazis in the most violent ways possible, it also tells a very human story of just people, which I like a lot. So here is Keller. Keller is a field coordinator who works on behalf of General Wilhelm Das Head Strauss. So as you can see here, a very Nazi-looking man for the time. However, he has an eye patch, so as again, I'm a one-eyed man, I am a sucker for eye-patched characters. So this is the Commando. So, concept art of one of Death's Head's commandos. These are Death's Head Special Elite Forces. So this is the futuristic armor. So this is the armor worn by Nazis in the 1960s. And you can see it is much more advanced compared to our standard Nazi gear. And here are two more variations of it. This guy is red with a little bit of a gas mask. Anyway, what I was talking about at the start is, if you have seen the anime Jinro, the armor in Wolfenstein is very similar to the armor worn by the Special Unit, or the Wolf Brigade, in that film. Here are some more weapons. So here is the AR-60 with a grenade launcher here. Here is a version of the handgun, handgun 60. We wanted to exaggerate the shape of the original Luger. So this is essentially the futuristic Luger, which I think it does a really good job of showcasing that it is still a Luger, but highly, highly advanced. Then over here, we have the MG60 again, and this is the MG46. This is a 3D model of the shotgun the players can find in the asylum. Very, very useful. And here are some of the EMP grenades that we use. Here are some more of the vehicles that we find, from armored Nazi carriers to APCs to just standard Nazi vehicles to more of the officer type cars. And here is a picture of Keller's car, which looks a bit more civilian. These are just some paintings that can be found in the asylum. Quite cool. Art of level 3. So this picture here is of a captured Nazi in the basement. I believe it's in Anya's parents' basement, where BJ interrogates him. And he interrogates him with a chainsaw. And eventually the man submits to the utter terror within him and tells BJ everything. Then after that, BJ still proceeds to essentially cut him in half with a chainsaw. So that's really the epitome of Wolfentsein: The New Order, is killing Nazis with chainsaws, which is beyond awesome. I was gonna say something, but I try not to swear in my videos, so this is some of the environments section. So this is one of the parts of the second mission, where we have to sneak our way through these different gates and installations. This is one of the gates that we see. So we see it is highly guarded. There's a massive gate. There's a watchtower with Nazis in it. And this is just how we sneak our way through. This is the same map, and we go around this area looking for different objectives and different Nazis. We see some of them that are sleeping, which we can stealth kill, and really good level, especially if you're playing on stealth. One of the gameplay mechanics, which I'm not sure the book is going to touch on, but you have your standard Nazi soldiers, you have your super soldiers, but then you also have your Nazi officers. And what the officers do is, if they spot you, they call for reinforcements and will continue to call for reinforcements until they are killed. However, when an officer is in reach, it tells you they are in the area, and it tells you how close you are to them. So it doesn't tell you exactly where they are, but it tells you how close you are to getting to them. And it's very satisfying to sneak up on one and either slit his throat or shoot him in the head with a silenced Luger. Here's some more interiors of some of the different areas. So this is based on the mission we were just talking about. However, here is the start of another mission, and one of the most famous missions. So this is BJ and Anya are on a train. I can't remember where they're headed. I think they're just on the train to escape the facility they were on. So I don't think anyone knows that Anya is on, but BJ is on. And he comes across two of the secondary antagonists here, or at least one of these secondary antagonists, and her essentially boy toy. And those, sorry, this isn't them. This is definitely not them, I apologize. So this is Anya's grandpa. Anya's grandpa helps BJ and Anya when they escape from the asylum after Death's Head forces massacre on everyone within the compound. He sets them up with shelter and supplies and ends up accompanying them through the escape route. Grandpa also gives BJ some clothing so he doesn't have to wear his hospital gear for the whole game. And Anya's grandma is another character who aids BJ and Anya as they escape. She is extremely good aim with a shotgun. You don't want to mess with her. Both of these people are extremely kind people. But as it says here, you know, don't take this kind grandma looking figure lightly. If she has a shotgun and you are a Nazi, you are going to die very, very painfully. So here are the two characters I was talking about earlier. So Frau Engel, so she is from Germany and she is age 55. One of the leading figures behind the Bund Deutscher Medal. I butchered that, I am so sorry. The League of German Girls. The girls' wing of the Nazi Party youth movement, Frau Engel has dedicated her life to the Nazi cause and the future they want to build using their twisted youth agenda. However, done her duty of raising 6 Aryan children to serve the fatherland. She continues to prove her steadfast loyalty and dedication to the Nazi Party throughout the years. She quickly rose within the ranks as the war progressed. Near the end of the war, Frau Engel assumed command of the force of labor camp Belicia, a dark and cruel place that she runs with an iron fist. And then this is the man next to her, which I refer to as her boy toy. Frau Engel's right-hand officer, Booby, has absolute dedication to the Nazi Party and obeys Frau Engel's every order. This is Frau as she is injured later on in the game due to BJ. But I just want to see if it actually mentioned it. Okay, it doesn't. So there is a very interesting sequence where Frau essentially points you at gunpoint and says, sit down. And she says, you know, oh, you're a very Aryan looking man. But we have a little bit of a test to figure out if you're a true Aryan. And she gives you 3 sets of 2 different cards, and you are to pick the one that an Aryan would not be afraid of. And it is super tense because she plays it completely straight. She is pointing the gun at you the whole time. And you end up picking your cards, and at the end she reveals that the whole thing was just a joke. And this tense moment is so nerve-wracking on your first playthrough. This is one of the moments that the New Order is famous for, and it is extremely well done. The new Colossus does something similar, but not nearly as effective. So the Blackguard Elite. The ideas behind the Blackguard Elite was to create a powerful grunt soldier enemy that would feel heavier and stronger than the previous enemy. At the same time, he wanted to tie the Blackguard Elite in with the rest of the Nazi machinery foot soldiers by giving him a menacing yet anonymous face. We wanted him to have sturdy armor but still be agile and able to use a tactical approach against the player. We also really wanted to give him the impression that he could take a lot of damage before you defeat him. We made the base armor options upgradable so that we would have the ability to add heavy plates and armor. We felt it was a significant visual key to keep the classic helmet silhouette on this design. On other characters, we have been more elaborate and taken the helmet design further. And since this is one of the first heavy-weighted enemies you encounter, this classic helmet silhouette felt necessary. So this is the next step up from your standard Nazi soldier. Again, this is in the 1960s. So you can see the helmet is the same except for the Nazi crest with the eagle, and his armor is essentially all black with this bit of gray everywhere. Really cool design, if you ask me. It doesn't look like the Wolf Brigade, which the standard Nazi soldiers look like, but nonetheless, I think this guy looks very cool. And they are a lot tougher to kill, and they have a lot heavier weaponry. Here are some more vehicles. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This is one of the robot trucks here. So here is the guard robot. The guard robot was intended to be an enemy capable of fierce firepower. a menacing robot soldier wearing the classic style helmet of World War II Germany. This concept underwent many iterations before we finally settled on this design. So this is a fully mechanical robotic soldier. They are absolutely a menace to take down, and they are armed with extremely heavy weaponry. As you can see, they have a little weak point on the back in the form of their power core or fusion core, but nonetheless, and the red eye here just makes them look even more evil, for want of a better term. So this is some of the more versions of the K9. So this is the Camp and Found 60. The modern version of the fiercer than classic Camp and Found, it proved to be such a favorite among the Wolfentsein Nazis in the 40s that it survived to become this modern day iteration with even more teeth. So this one is very similar to the one we saw at the beginning, however much more advanced, much more deadly, and much more heavily armored, and so much faster. They are a great enemy. However, you want to try and stealth kill these guys if you can. You are able to stealth kill them, because if you are playing on, I can't remember the hardest difficulty, I believe it's like Ubermenschen or something like that. But yeah, these guys are no joke. Then here are some of the weapons. So this is the marksman rifle, which acts as like your sniper. And then here we have one of the turrets, and very heavy turret. And then here we have the handgun 60, aka the future Ruger, except this one here has a silencer. So this is your best friend, or my best friend, for my stealth ones. So here is Art of Level 4 with a really cool backdrop showing the sunset on the Nazi Empire in America. You again have the Capitol building. You have a little Nazi here. I'm presuming he's like ringing the bell to maybe dictate the time. And you can also see the eagle on top of the Capitol building here. I'm not sure if you're able to see that or not. I'll try and zoom in just so you guys can see. You can see the eagle there. Just quite cool, but also quite ominous. So environments. This is the first time the player has seen Germania in its full glory. A lot of concept art and architectural sketches were created in order to achieve this scale and structure layout in this huge, sprawling city. So yeah, this city is massive, as you can see here. And it is very authoritarian looking, very kind of function over form, and looks very brutal in its design, which I believe is intentional. Here's a picture of the Capitol building, another very tall building, which looks very important with the Nazi flags everywhere. Here's a picture of some houses, which look like normal housing in the midst of this Nazi-infested city. So this is a concept art of the overview Germania and Volkshow at sunset. This is the interior of a officer's office. This is the prison hallway, and this is a concept art of the attic. Here is some more pictures of some of one of the missions we go through inside a Nazi prison, which is quite cool. Seeing the Nazi prisons really just show how ruthless and sadistic even the common soldier is. And here's some more concept art of a lot of the different buildings and cityscapes and stuff like that. There's architectural structures of various buildings located in Germania. So quite cool. So here is the guards. So the player encounters different types of prison guards, a standard one and one with heavy riot gear. We wanted these guards to seem anonymous and menacing, so we gave them masks and helmet to cover their face. We also wanted to give them the ability to withstand riots and attacks, so this worked as a function yet evocative design. So these guys are the prison guards. We see two prison guards down here, which look just like standard Nazi officers. This is the prison guard below, like it says, and the riot guard. So this is the riot guard here. As you can see, he is heavily armored. He has a gas mask on with his helmet and has lots of riot padding, which is quite cool. Here is the shotgun that we find in the game. If you've played Wolfenstein, the shotgun is a very good weapon. By the way, apart from like machine guns, like heavy machine guns like the MG46, you can dual wield every single weapon in the game, which is so much fun. Picking up two shotguns and like rushing through enemies is so much fun and never gets old. I did 2 playthroughs of Wolfenstein: The New Order. First with a complete stealth, no detections at all, and then the second one with the guns blazing. And even though I normally prefer the stealthier approach in games, I will admit the guns blazing route was a blast to play. So this is again the Panzerhound 60. So the Panzerhound is a design improved from Death's Head previous experiments in the 1940s, a gigantic robot hound equipped with dagger-length razor-sharp teeth. It's man's best friend and a perfect beast to guard the inmates of the Eisenworld prison. So yeah, imagine this thing prowling past your cells at night. That would be terrifying. When I replaced the Panzerhound 60, I focused a lot on of attention on the head and jaws. This mechanical monster will run towards the player head-on, so it needed to look ferocious and extremely lethal from the front. So here are some more versions and concept arts of that. And then these ones here. This one looks almost like a non-rendered version, whereas this one looks like one, but he has his jaws shut. So yeah, these guys are an absolute tank to deal with. Some more vehicles. Again, not spending too much time, but we have an airship. We have a what is this? A coal loader from the prison, and concept art of the car BJ uses to escape from the prison. And again, this is one of the tanks that the Germans have. And yeah, here are some more props that we find throughout the game. So this is just more world building stuff. So like health stations, ammo stations, different things you find on the walls. The world of Wolfentsein: The New Order presents us with some interesting challenges. Everything we designed, from everyday items to giant mechanical weapons, had to have a sci-fi and high-tech edge, yet we still wanted it to feel retro and believable. When it came to everyday items, we wanted to design things that could have already existed. So very cool. And then over here we even have some of the graphics and propaganda that we see in the games. So next up is arts of level 5, 7, 9, and 15. However, guys, that is going to be it for part 1 of this video, of this series. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. This book I actually never thought I would be able to own, because it's very hard to find a copy, and if you do, most of them are extremely expensive. I managed to get this for about €200, which for this book is a steal. So anyway, I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to my 2 Patreon supporters. So thank you Slice of Life for Life, and thank you Mary the Otaku. Your patronage means the world to me. And for the rest of you guys, your viewership also means the world to me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next one. My name has been Crimson, and I hope you have a good evening. Goodbye.